So Lee Cronin's The Mummy, this is finally out. I've always been excited for this remake of The Mummy announced a while ago. I saw this last night at the Thursday night premiere, and I really am excited to talk about this. This is one of those movies where everything critics are using as a negative is basically my argument for why this thing works. This movie is so unhinged, it's so disgusting, such a bold swing for a franchise that people have been trying and failing to crack for decades, and I had a blast with it. And I think, this could be a cult film in the future. It's just so weird and so bold and grounded. I had a great time, so let's get into it. To understand why this movie matters, you have to kind of understand what the Mummy franchise actually is, because it's one of the weirdest, most disjointed franchises in Hollywood history. It started in 1932. Boris Karloff, Universal, the original movie. I'm sure you guys know all the Dracula, Frankenstein movies, those classic nostalgic black and white ones. And look, I don't love that movie. I mean, I do enjoy it. There's a nostalgia quality there. I would watch that like every Halloween, every other Halloween, I'll throw it on. It's very short. It's like 70 minutes. But, I'll be honest, it's not a great movie. It's an ASMR movie, I've said. It's relaxing. It's nostalgic. There's no score. Halloween comfort food. Boris Karloff's eyes through those wrappings. No real soundtrack. Just this ancient, peaceful vibe. I feel like a kid watching that movie. Same goes for Terrence Fisher's 1959 Hammer version with Christopher Lee. That's childhood for me. It's cheesy, innocent. It's a different era. Those movies are not trying to scare you out of your seat. They're about atmosphere and mythology. And then you get 1999, Stephen Sommers, Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and that is the one that changed everything. That's basically a modern Raiders of the Lost Ark. Adventure, horror, comedy, period film, all in one. It's one of my favorite movies, period. It pulled off something incredibly difficult tonally, and the chemistry between Fraser and Weisz is like old Hollywood movie magic. I discovered that movie in high school, and I loved that movie, and it made me love movies more. And I think a lot of people loved that movie. It's a classic movie. I don't think I'm alone in the opinion of that, because it's just one of those movies that everyone kind of loves, like even when you're a kid. And then 2017, the Tom Cruise one. Remember when that movie came out and the trailer was released without audio? Very crazy. I actually saw that in theaters while I was studying for the SATs, which is somehow the perfect context for that film. It's not good. The Dark Universe concept, where they wanted Russell Crowe as Jekyll and Hyde, Javier Bardem as Frankenstein, Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, it looked so promising, and it collapsed instantly. No tone, no chemistry, and it had this desperate attempt to recapture what Sommers did, but it didn't have any of that soul that made it work. The Dark Universe died right there in 2017. I remember watching that thinking, like, Tom Cruise and Annabelle Wallis have no chemistry. So, like, right away, it's a broken movie. Now, we've had a Wolfman movie last year that didn't land, a Frankenstein movie with Jacob Elordi that just came out, and here we are with Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And the question everyone is asking is, can anybody actually crack this thing? Because the bandaged guy in the pyramid is, let's be real, a kind of inherently silly premise. It can work, though. And then the controversy started. Back in January, I was hearing reports that this movie bombed in test screenings, that the studio wasn't even sure it qualified as a Mummy movie, that they wanted to retitle it. There were rumors going around that this would be retitled from The Mummy to The Resurrected. And that kind of thing normally makes me nervous, but this time it made me interested, because that usually means the filmmaker made something the studio didn't expect. It reminded me of, before I even saw it, The Empty Man, David Pryor's Fincher-coded horror film that got buried by Fox and turned out to be one of the best horror movies of the decade. Long runtime, dense mythology, not what the suits ordered. You think of Universal and theme park rides, and, they even have this whole Dark Universe thing with a werewolf roller coaster and a Frankenstein ride. They probably don't want Lee Cronin's Mummy in that theme park. After you watch this movie, you'll know what I'm saying. And when I heard this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes, I was excited, because I thought, okay, they're not cutting stuff that most movies would cut. And there's one more thing. Lee Cronin put his name in the title, which sounds like ego, but it's actually a marketing decision to separate this from every other Mummy movie ever made. He's telling you up front, this is something different. So what actually is Lee Cronin's The Mummy? It's about a photojournalist named Charlie, played by Jack Rayner, whose young daughter disappears in Egypt. 8 years pass, and then she comes back. And what should be a miracle is instead deeply, deeply wrong. She's stiff, her skin is hard, she looks like she's been wrapped from the inside out. She barely moves, she makes sounds that are not human sounds. And the whole film is built around the question, the tagline of the movie, what happened to Katie. And this does everything, because what Cronin does, and this is where he's smart, is he builds the movie so that it almost feels like a possession film for the entire first half. Honestly, for like the first 3/4, you're thinking Exorcist, you're thinking Hereditary, and then it earns the Mummy mythology in a way that technically works. And the lore reveal is so well executed that even when it gets insane, you're locked in. The way this movie reveals information is fantastic. There's a shot early on, a kid fixing his bike in the Egyptian desert. In the background, you see like a small plane falling out of the sky. He wanders into the wreckage, and then there's this sarcophagus just sitting there with something in it. No explanation. And the score does its thing. The score in this movie is fantastic. Stephen McKeon's music in this film is doing so much heavy lifting, and I mean that as a compliment. It creates this oppressive building dread. And the body horror kicks in, and it does not stop. Toenails, skin, vomit. Things I did not expect from a movie with this title, but I did kind of expect because I saw early reactions with people saying this was gross out. And even then I was like, okay, interesting. And look, I get why people are not happy with this film. I understand some of the negative reviews. Some people find the gore relentless to the point of numbing. But here's my thing. Cronin kind of earns it. Because underneath all of that, there is a real emotional architecture here. This is a movie about a broken family trying to hold on to something that has already been taken from them. That's Poltergeist, that's The Exorcist, that's Hereditary, and Cronin has cited all of those as influences, and you feel every one of them. The acting is so strong. And, you know, there are found footage tropes woven in that actually work. The cinematography is beautiful. Dave Garbett, who shot Evil Dead Rise, is doing incredible work here. And the film has momentum. It's structured in a way where every scene is feeding into the next, which is not easy in a horror film this big. It's always leaving you wanting to see something and then cutting to something else creepy happening. And then we'll cut to the other thing, like someone's doing something in the basement, looking at photos, and then upstairs, the girl is doing some creepy mummy shit. It's honestly very well done and keeps you interested. Is it flawless? No. It is a little long. The CGI in the third act goes big in ways that undercut the practical nastiness of the first two acts. And, you know, some people are right. The character development gets steamrolled by the chaos. But here's the thing. This is the most interesting Mummy movie since 1999. It does something different, which is the only thing a Mummy movie in 2026 can do. Lee Cronin made Evil Dead Rise a few years ago, and I remember thinking, you know, this guy has a real visual style. He thinks in shots. He's a storyboarder's director. The Mummy confirms this. Even if it's a bit messy, even if it's chaotic, it has perspective. And in a franchise that has been desperately searching for one, you know, for almost 30 years, that matters. If you like gnarly, committed horror filmmaking that swings hard and doesn't apologize for what it is, you should definitely see The Mummy. If you need your horror movies to be emotionally tidy, maybe sit this one out. It's not very studio safe, and that's exactly why I liked it. It's very deeply weird. It's a bit long. It goes heavy into this bizarre mythology that is almost Mummy adjacent, and that's exactly why I like it. I think, you know, years away, people are going to be talking about this the way they talk about The Empty Man. You know, it's the kind of movie that rewards people who are willing to meet it where it lives. That's not saying that this is going to be getting rave reviews. I don't think lots of people are going to love this movie, but it will have a cult following. It's very weird. It's very fun. It's gnarly. Make more strange movies. I always say, if you're going to make a remake, you might as well go bold than take a safe swing. So I had a lot of fun with Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Go see this in theaters if you're into weird, dark horror. It's a good time.